Welcome to another narrated London video. This time we'll take a walk through London's West End and see parts of the haunted and hidden, or some haunted and hidden parts of London's West End. And we'll start here on Northumberland Avenue at the famous and excellent Sherlock Holmes Pub. In Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's, most famous Sherlock Holmes adventure, The Hound of the Baskervilles. This was the site of the Northumberland Hotel, where Sir Henry Baskerville stayed during his time in London. And Conan Doyle did not pick one of the existing hotels around the area, but made up the Northumberland Hotel. It was here that one of Sir Henry's boots was stolen, but I will not explain why and how to avoid spoilers for those who want to read the story. We're going up Craven Passage. On our right hand side, right here, this was the entrance, the side entrance, or the ladies' entrance, to the Turkish bathhouse that was housed within this building during the Victorian era. The entrance for gentlemen was on Northumberland Avenue, and the bath is also referred to in several of Conan Doyle's Holmes stories. For example, in The Disappearance of Lady Frances Carfax, Holmes inquires from Watson, "But why Turkish?" This being a direct reference to the Turkish bath. We walk up Craven Passage, we emerge on Craven Street, and we're heading towards Benjamin Franklin House, founding father of the United States of America. Benjamin Franklin lived here from 1757 to 1775. Craven Street also inspired Charles Dickens, one of his most famous scenes in A Christmas Carol, because one day Dickens walked up Craven Street and he saw one of the door knockers morphing into a face. And, obviously Dickens used that in A Christmas Carol when Scrooge sees the face of his former partner Jacob Marley in his door knocker. So this is the Ship and Shovell, the only pub in London that is split in two. In fact, the only pub in London to be split in two. Both sides are equally good for having a pint. And highly recommendable. Also, by the way, on Craven Street, there's also another connection to the Hound of the Baskervilles, but I'll not go into the details now, because this walk continues for so fast. I won't have time to explain that here. So here at the end of Craven Passage, this set of stairs leads down to the arches, an atmospheric archway beneath Charing Cross Station. We go down the stairs, which we do in this video, and we follow the brightly lit passage. There's also the Charing Cross Theatre in here. Anyway, during World War II, these arches were barely lit and became notorious for GIs meeting prostitutes. They nicknamed the Piccadilly Commandos. So now we're on Villiers Street. Up there is Charing Cross Station, and to the right there's Embankment Underground Station. And right now, on our left, past the pub here, there is Kipling House, thus named for the author of the Jungle Book, Rudyard Kipling, who lived here from 1889 to 1891. We'll come to his house in a minute. There is a legend which I heard and read I've heard and read several times, but I've also heard it in connection to some other authors. So there's no definite proof for this story. So allegedly, the writer and socialist George Bernard Shaw lived in the house directly opposite Kipling's. And whenever Kipling wanted to talk to Shaw, he threw little stones against his window until he opened it, and then they'd converse across the street. So an early form of texting, perhaps. As I said, bear in mind though that I have found no definite proof for this story. So there's Embankment Underground station, but we'll turn left onto Watergate Walk. And this stretch along the embankment is part of Gordon's Wine Bar on our left. So sometimes there's security stuff up there, but they will usually let you pass if you tell them that you want to see the Watergate. Yeah, as said here, the interior of the bar is obviously haunted, as so many pubs and bars are haunted down here. Friendly member of staff who greeted me. So we're coming to the York Watergate, and this whole stretch of land was once at the riverside where boats would moor after passing through the Watergate from the River Thames. And in the 1860s, Sir Joseph Bazalgette, one of the most important engineers in London's history, embanked the River Thames by pushing its shoreline southwards. The gate itself was built in 1626 by the first Duke of Buckingham, George Villiers, as an intended entrance to York House, his grand home, and that is why the street at the top of the stairs, which we'll go through, or which we'll enter in a minute, is named Buckingham Street. Anyway, this is the York Watergate. And now we're going up the stairs, and one last look at Watergate Walk and Gordon's Wine Bar. Coming up Watergate Walk, on our left, let's just pass through the gate here. One final look, and then through the gate, and once again, York Watergate, and very, very atmospheric clouded London sky above the gate. Highly recommendable. Okay, so Buckingham Street, named after the first Duke of Buckingham, George Villiers. And here we are at number 12, Buckingham Street, and from 1679 to 1688, the famed London diarist Samuel Pepys lived here. And of course, it is said that his ghost still strolls through the house. So we're coming up the street here. And this is John Adams Street. And we follow John Adams Street. And now we turn right into York buildings. And we follow the street just a little bit down here. And down here, there's this. So this is Lower Robert Street. And here you find one of the last surviving Adelphi arches. So the Adelphi arches were developed by Robert, James and William Adam between 1768 and 1774 to overcome the problem of building on land that sloped toward the River Thames. And this rather eerie place inspired Charles Dickens, who wrote about wandering through the dark and mysterious arches in David Copperfield. And allegedly during the Victorian era, a prostitute named Jenny was strangled amongst the arches by a customer, and she died on the filthy rags she'd slept upon, and it's said that her screams can still be heard at night. Back along Lower Robert Street. We're crossing John Adams Street. Through this passage called George Court. And here at the end of George Court, we arrive on the Strand. Famous street, obviously, the Strand. Part of London's history. Let's all go down the Strand, and we walk along this famous street, which is obviously full of people, full of tourists, full of groups of people. There's also some famous theaters here. Maybe we'll mention one or two in a minute. Well, we certainly will, but we'll just keep on walking just a little bit. I hope you enjoyed so far. If you do, please, I'd be very grateful if you'd subscribe to my channel. There's the Adelphi Theatre. Maybe just one or two sentences about the Adelphi. I'm not quite sure. I think I'm coming back to the Adelphi in a minute. So I can mention something about the Adelphi then. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed so far. If you do, please subscribe to the channel. Please leave a like, leave a comment. I'd be very happy if you'd leave a comment and tell me if you like it. And I hope to produce more of these kinds of videos for you. So now we come to another place, hidden away, tucked away on the Strand, the mighty archway of number 80, which is right here, behind this gate. So take a look inside, at the right-hand wall, and you'll see a plaque describing that on the 1st of April 1918, the Royal Air Force was formed and had its first headquarters here at the former Hotel Cecil. And I'm not joking, even though it's the 1st of April. Or, as the plaque says, they were formed on the 1st of April. We'll continue along the Strand for a bit. And as usually in London, there's always some construction work going on. And just around here is the Coal Hole, a public house. And, well, if you're on a pub crawl, step in and have a pint. Perhaps you can spot a famous actor who enjoys a short rest after a performance in one of the many theatres on and around the Strand. It's a good pub, I can highly recommend it. And now we're crossing the road. Oh no, one last look at the Coal Hole. There's the Savoy Theatre, right next to the famous Savoy Hotel, obviously. Opened in 1889, the hotel's name became synonymous with the rich and famous. And yeah, we're crossing the street here, crossing the Strand. Up there is Covent Garden, which we'll not visit now. You can just make it out. There, Southampton Street. But we'll turn left and keep walking along the Strand. Lots of people. But it's London, isn't it? There's a lot of theatre history here. And now we are entering Bull Inn Court. You might almost miss it. Yes, we're going to the Nell Gwyn Tavern. We're turning right into the dark and narrow Bull Inn Court. Keep your eyes open for the entrance, otherwise you may miss it. And as you move away from the busy Strand to enter the narrow, sinister passageway, you will see the Nell Gwyn public house on the left. Again, if you're following this tour as a pub crawl, this should be next on your list. Named after King Charles II's infamous mistress, Nell Gwyn, the tiny and atmospheric pub is of course said to be haunted. Nell was born and raised in the nearby locality and sold fruit at Covent Garden Market before gaining fame as an actress on the stage at Drury Lane. And Samuel Pepys once wrote about seeing the mighty pretty Nell on his way to the Strand in 1667. Upon passing through the atmospheric Bull Inn Court with its old lamps, you will emerge at the end onto Maiden Lane. Bit dark and eerie, isn't it? If you go there at night. So, Maiden Lane, and if you look opposite, you will see Rule's Restaurant. This is Maiden Lane, and on the left there's Rule's Restaurant. Said to be London's oldest restaurant. Not quite sure if we're going to Rule's, are we? Yes, we're going over there. And there's Rule's on the left. So, said to be London's oldest restaurant. It was founded in 1798 by Thomas Rule, and its literary patrons have included Charles Dickens, H.G. Wells, and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And during the 1870s, the then Prince of Wales, Edward the Seventh, would enter the establishment unobserved through a special door accompanied by his mistress, actress Lily Langtry. Their private dining room upstairs became the most celebrated table for two in London. And today, writers and actors continue to frequent the restaurant that has retained its grand Victorian interior. So, we're moving away from Rule's Restaurant and along Maiden Lane, and on the left over there, where there's some guy standing there, here on the left there is the stage door of the Adelphi Theatre, and here this green plaque marks the location of the gruesome murder of one of London's most famous and beloved actors, William Terriss, in 1897. On the 16th of December, he was stabbed by his jealous colleague Richard Prince outside the stage door and died in the arms of his leading lady, Jessica Millward. His last words were, "I will be back." So it would seem that he has kept his promise, because in 1928 his ghost was seen by a tourist here in Maiden Lane. A young leading actress was also gripped by ghostly hands and shaken while resting on the couch in the dressing room once occupied by Jessie Millward. The actress also saw a strange light floating in the room. And in addition to both these accounts, 2 knocks were frequently heard upon the dressing room door, something Terriss had a habit of doing whenever he passed his leading lady's door. Okay, so we've continued along Maiden Lane. This is Chandos Place, and on our left, once we've crossed the street, on our left is a red brick building. So there is this plaque up there claiming that it was a blacking factory, and its most famous employee was a young Charles Dickens, who worked here from 1824 to 1825. Aged either 12 or 13, Dickens had been obliged to go out to work when his father was imprisoned in Marshalsea Prison in Borough for debt. And for Dickens, it was an extremely unhappy period in his life that both marked and inspired him. I have to say, I have to look that up again, because the blacking factory where Dickens was said to have worked, or where Dickens worked, so this is Charing Cross Police Station, the former Charing Cross Hospital. Anyway, the blacking factory where Dickens worked as a boy was said to be close to Hungerford Steps, which again was said to be close to Charing Cross Station. So yeah, this might actually have been the location. But I think I heard some doubts about this having been the place of the blacking factory. Anyway, we'll continue passing the Charing Cross Police Station, former Charing Cross Hospital, and at the end here we'll turn right into Bedfordbury. but yeah, let's just keep walking for a moment. Warren's Blacking Factory. That's what it was called. The place where Dickens worked. Yeah, might have been that building, or it might have been on that side. Anyway, we're looking along Bedfordbury. So now we're going up Bedfordbury, and on the left here is Brydges Place. Another narrow and sinister passageway of old London. But I'd like to show you another passage, which I will do in a minute. So, back on Bedfordbury. Passing the stage door of the Colosseum. No actors here, no famous people to meet. Well, not today, obviously. And here we are, almost at the end of the street, and we're turning left into Goodwin's Court. Another atmospheric narrow passageway that leads away from the main street, and which is easy to miss if you don't know where to look. And yeah, look around. This is actually quite famous in terms of it's being used often as an image on social media. On various accounts, various people have used it, including yours truly. But it indeed is a very atmospheric passageway, and allegedly, as so many streets and passages and courts claim, this location allegedly was the inspiration for Diagon Alley in the Harry Potter series. And it is said that author J.K. Rowling used Goodwin's Court as a shortcut to work and was inspired by it when she wrote the first novel, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. In fact, it isn't difficult to imagine owls flying above our heads when standing in this enchanting little passage. And now we are on St. Martin's Lane. There's many theatres here on the street. The Noel Coward, the Coliseum, many more various pubs, and we'll turn left and walk down St. Martin's Lane. There's the Duke of York's Theatre. And now we are moving towards Trafalgar Square. On the right is the National Portrait Gallery. And here on the left is the famous St. Martin in the Fields, the church known for its regular lunchtime and evening concerts. And many ensembles perform here, including the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields. So yeah, maybe in a certain way you could say that we are in the cultural center of Westminster. Because on the right, now we're heading towards Trafalgar Square, and here on the right, I think we can see it a bit better in the moment, is the National Gallery. There's Trafalgar Square with Nelson's Column, and there is the National Gallery. So Trafalgar Square was constructed between 1829 and 1841 and is conceived as England's memorial to, hers greatest sailor, Admiral Nelson. This is again St. Martin in the Fields. And as you know, there's also Nelson's Column on Trafalgar Square. The National Gallery is free and it's free to visit, and it's worth a visit. So if you're here, I highly recommend paying it a visit. And Trafalgar Square, the square centerpiece. Once again, National Gallery. The square centerpiece is obviously Nelson's Column, 167 feet tall, I think. And there is the story that 12 days before the statue was erected on top, 14 stonemasons dined on top of the column in a so-called topping out ceremony, which means a bean feast traditionally given by employers to their workmen at the conclusion of any large-scale project. And also on Trafalgar Square, over there on the right, don't know if we can see it, if you can see it. Yes, this is what I meant. London's smallest police station. Piece of secret history again, which everyone apparently knows. Yeah, whenever there was a riot on Trafalgar Square, a policeman was put into the box there on the right, and via phone he was able to reach Scotland Yard. So if you're there next time, watch out for the secret little pillar with its small slits in set into the sides. I think it dates from the late 19th century and was in fact set up as a secret observation post by the police, used by the police, because Trafalgar Square was famous for its demonstrations. Many of them gathered here, started here, and were held here. And yeah, it was large enough to hold one policeman, and he was able to reach the nearby Scotland Yard via telephone. But yeah, I wouldn't have one to be. I wouldn't have one to be in there. Anyway, we're heading down Northumberland. We're heading down Northumberland Avenue again. And we're back where we started, on the corner of Northumberland Avenue and Northumberland Street. Here on the left is the Sherlock Holmes Pub. Well worth a visit. And we are on the windows, well, the pub windows, they depict Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson, as well as their creator, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. As I said, well worth a visit. Pay a visit if you're here. If you want to recreate this walk and turn it into a pub crawl, this should be your first and your final stop. It's very full, very often very full, but still it's very good. Even if you ever overcome the temptation to stop for a pint, it's worth taking a look inside. There are drawings and photographs from movie adaptations and a Holmesian bookshelf. And sometimes they used to show, it's nowadays, they used to show the old black and white Sherlock Holmes movies with Basil Rathbone as the master detective and Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson. And upstairs in the restaurant area, there's a truly magnificent recreation of Holmes's sitting room at 221B Baker Street, including a statue of the detective himself. Well, thank you very much. This is the end of this walk. I hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you next time around. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe. And I hope to see you next time. See you soon. Thank you very much. This is Phil from London Beyond Time and Place.